Call the meeting to order and we'll have roll call.
Brewster?
Here.
Dale? Here. Drescher?
Here.
Eskelsen?
Here.
Laval? Here. Mueller? Schaffner? Ignorati?
Here. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And hopefully everybody read the minutes from our last meeting on June 11th. I'll entertain a motion to approve them as presented or as amended. Motion made to accept them.
I'll second.
A second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Item number 1. Discussion, update, direction on acquisition potential of property being offered by Caltrans.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I turn that on, maybe it'll work. Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, your Kuberger, Planning Development Services Director, if I may, before we take item number 1, just sort of a housekeeping item, you have Sabrina Barber from representing the Imperial Irrigation District here, and while I think she's a good addition to your commission, the official designation for the ID is the general manager, and we did send a letter to the general manager, and he indicated that because of time constraints and other new duties that he's grappling with, I think we've all read enough in the paper about, he would like to have Sabrina represent the IID. Like I said, that's fine with me, and I'm sure with your commission as well. We will need to go back and change our designation in the makeup of this commission. So any voting or direction from her today would be not counted, simply till we change the rules so that nobody questions how we do business. So we'll be doing some cleanup anyway on some others as well.
You don't need a motion on that. You're just
put it on
a heads up.
Number 1, I'm glad to have her here, but
right.
We'll have to change that because it specifically says the general manager. Okay. And I think one of the other things we're going to do is probably make some provisions for some of you to have alternates as well. When you're representing, like Mr. Mueller represents a commission, Fish and Game Commission, and they may want to have an alternate just in case Clem can't make it, whereas they usually no alternate for Mr. Schaffner. And I don't mean that derogatory, really.
I thought maybe you said they broke the mold.
Yeah, that too. Anyway, that's so much for housekeeping. The first item, as you indicated, we gave you a little bit of an update at the last meeting, and unfortunately we've been either playing telephone tag or lacked communication with Caltrans. The last communication I had with them, in fact, I got the last communication with Caltrans basically was we needed to have a meeting to discuss some options, but their position, at least so far, has still been that they need to dispose of the property via a sale as opposed to a transference of the property to another agency at no cost. I did get another email from Mr. Fortin, Myron Fortin, wanting to know, basically where we were and what we're doing and whether there were some options there that we could maybe negotiate with Caltrans. And I'm not ruling out that we can negotiate with Caltrans, it's just that we really haven't been able to get with them to do that. So I'm trying to schedule a meeting with them in San Diego to go over this a little more in detail. In the meantime, we presented to you at the last time some issues relative to the cost of restoring that land name to farmable property, and you had Mr. Kalin here, who also has corresponded with me by email, and I apologize I haven't been able to get back to him either. But basically he kind of addressed some of the issues as far as what he was involved with, I believe, with the Farm Bureau when they were looking at it. And then I've talked to some people in terms of using it for farmland, and several suggestions were made that perhaps the cost could be brought down for making it a restored farm field, but not being an expert in farming, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that any of those made sense. I got Clem and Rudy and some others here that know a lot more about farming than probably any of the rest of us, and I'm sure their input as far as the farmability would be more crucial. So what I'd like to do on this, I think Mr. Lessica is here to talk about it, if I'm not mistaken, or at least he's in the audience, I know, and Clem said he was here to talk about it.
Yes. Mr. Lessica. state your
I
name
think
and
Myron
address.
got me into something I wasn't really prepared to talk about.
Will that be the first time it's done that? Or?
No, it wasn't the first time. But, and I don't know if, I think Myron's intention would like to have seen something done on this regarding, wildlife habitat. And, of course, being as some of us are hunters, we kind of had a little bit of other agenda there, such as if it could be developed into something like what the Audubon Society would like, or even a farming organization that would plant, trees in there so they wouldn't have to re-level the ground, which is, I understand, probably anywhere from $150,000 to $250,000 to do this. And if they went in there and planted trees like citrus or dates or something like this, they could actually use a drip irrigation system, and also at the same time create a lot of habitat for wildlife, particularly the dove, the quail, and what other critters would inhabit that. And as you know, as the north end grows there with the citrus, the bird population up there has increased tremendously. So, and of course, I belong to Desert Wildlife Unlimited, and we have got something like 29 fields that we plant and bring in on opening day of dove season, something like 4,000 hunters into the north end. And of course, I keep getting from the south end here, why don't you come down here and help us out, and there are a lot of people from San Diego that like to come to the south end, not just bird watchers, but people that like to hunt, and that is a very good flyway in there for doves, and I think something like that could be, developed into something that would be very beneficial to the people in the south end and the farmers, which I understand Caltrans, I understood that they wanted it to go back into agriculture. So I think, pardon the expression, but we could kill a couple birds with one stone. So thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Jessica? Go ahead, Cliff. Turn your microphone on there so you can be recorded.
I'm sitting in 2 chairs, I guess. Well, the last time I kind of painted a brief with the leveling situation, but today we could put that property into organic and new sprinklers and not have to level it. So if they wanted to get rid of it bad enough, I think if they wanted to give it to us, I would think, well, let's take it.
Well, I don't think that's been the argument. I think, we went into this after Mr. Fortin was here, kind of looking at it from the standpoint what the opportunities would be if we could acquire the land for a little more cost. And the first thing I was told once I did get a hold of Caltrans was basically, no, we can't really do that. We have to sell it at, not appraised, but I guess at fair market value or something like that. And then when I talked to Sean Basuto from Caltrans as well, talked to this other lady, and there might be some way to do some of it. But there's 2 issues that I see. One is, what would it take to get it from Caltrans? And if it's fair market value, then I think for us that'd be almost out of the question.
Absolutely.
If it is some sort of a transfer that could be done, then the next question would be how much of it has to be put back into agricultural use, because under their CEQA documents and NEPA documents they did for SR7, there was a specific requirement that it had to go back into ag. But I don't recall that it had to be 100%. I think there was some ratio, and I think that leaves the door open for some of the things that both Mr. Fortin and Mr. Leska have talked about were part of it. And if you recall, Mr. Kalin talked about the land on the one side of the highway versus on the other and things like that. So it's really going to be a question of trying to get together face-to-face with Caltrans and seeing, A, will they transfer it, or under what terms would they transfer it, and then exactly what would be the outcome, assuming we could get it, in terms of how much we would have to put back in ag. If 100% had to go back in ag, obviously that would be that much more costly. Part of it could be put into some sort of a habitat area along the river especially. I think that would gain a lot of favor with a lot of people, not just folks out here.
In order to get organic ground today, you have to set out for 3 years, and that'd be ideal, just to